Hi, and welcome back to another episode of The Vixen Voice. This particular episode is coming to you at the end of the school year for a specific reason. I've been chatting with all my friends lately and all of my clients, and they're kind of scrambling to prepare for their kids coming home for the summer, right? Figuring out what activities they're going to do, how they need to shift their schedule. And so we're very grateful to Sara Heald and Dr. Diana Singleton for hopping on with us today. These are two busy moms that own their own business, in fact, multiple businesses. And so I thought it'd be fun if they hopped on and shared what their plan is to adapt to summertime, and it might inspire you to do something different, or if nothing else, let you know that you're not alone. So again, we have Sara Heald joining us. She's the founder of Sara in the City Event Planning. They do events across the country. So you can see she's in a beautiful VIP lounge of one of her events today. So she's coming to us live from work. And she's also the author of The Busy Mom's Guide to Event Planning, totally relevant to what we're talking about today. So Sara will chat more about your book and how our listeners can get their hands on it. That would be phenomenal. And Dr. Diana Singleton, you heard from her not long ago. She was amazing. We chatted about all things pelvic floor and perimenopause. If you missed that episode and you're around my age, you probably want to go listen to it, right? If you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, super important to your wellness and health. So Diana's a pelvic floor physical therapist, and she's a fitness coach for moms. So I love it. So Diana, we're going to lean into you today. Not only are kids coming home, not only are we running businesses or working, but we want to take care of ourselves as well, right? So how are we getting all these things to balance right now? So welcome, ladies. Thanks for joining me.
For having us.
Thank you so
Uh,
much for having us.
Awesome. When we're on that point, Diana, why don't you start off for us? Because I know you have your fitness practice, you have your physical therapy practice, I know you have a private practice, you work for a clinic. Plus, you're the mom to Jack, age 7, coming home, and you have a stepdaughter, age 21. So, lots going on in the Singleton household. So, what do you do? Let's start with our sanity. What do you do to keep your sanity during these times, during a shift in the routine?
Yes, for sure. I try to keep my routine as similar as I can, especially as we're
Mhm.
getting into the summer again. And, I have a routine in the morning where I like to get up early. And, most days I do a little meditation, 5 minutes, get into some stretching, get some exercise in. What changes though during the summer is that I sometimes need to be a little bit more flexible. So where like
Mhm.
during the school year when the schedule's a little bit more rigid, I'm up about 30 minutes earlier. So I do give myself a little bit of grace to wake up maybe a little bit later and ease into that routine a little bit more, but I still keep pretty consistent with it. What I also do during the summer months is I'm a little bit more lenient with my caseload too. I take some
Mhm.
time off, especially this summer. We have a big trip to Greece coming up,
Oh,
and
fun.
I do still, prioritize time with the family. But for the most part, I've got my son in the camps, and I keep my caseload pretty similar and my routine pretty similar. But give grace to the time, like knowing that it's not always summertime and he's not always home from school and, being able to take that time to also restore.
Yeah, I love it. I have friends that have a company called 18 Summers, and it's talking about, or I'm sorry, 17 Summers. It's talking about how you have your children for 17 summers, and it started as a program for like entrepreneurial men to carve out time for their kids, but now is extended to all entrepreneurial parents. And I think, I mean, it just encapsulates what you just said, right? Like these this time is precious and you want to be there. So I love that you're doing that. And I know you and I chatted privately about how to keep the momentum going while you went on your trip to Greece, where you can enjoy the family but not come back to no business, right? So it's important to strategize for these things and think ahead. And I know you're on that. And Sarah, I'm going to flip that to you because I know you're really good at that. In fact, you're really good at communicating with your clients when you're available and not, and giving them a heads up. So I let's start with the first question. How do you keep your sanity when the kids are around more? And I know y'all have a big trip coming up this summer. So like what steps do you take to plan for that and make sure it doesn't break the momentum of business too much?
So I've made sure that I have a variety of different childcare options available. We have camps happening. One of my children is still young enough where they're in year-round daycare. I've also gone ahead and reached out to some relatives that live in the area to see and check in with them and see when they might be available to watch the kids. I've also built in
Nice.
some intentional time with no plans. The entire month of
Hmm.
July, we have no plans except to go on a family vacation, because I also think it's important for the kids to have time just to do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
That may or may not be detrimental to me, but my plan is to carve out time every day to get work done on my businesses and continue to move things forward. For moms, it's really nuts, and I'm sure you've heard this, April, that you have to sign your children up for summer camps in February. So since February, I have known the summer camps that my oldest was going to attend and when they were going to start, and I've also known where my youngest child was going to be. So I've had plenty of time now to kind of plan around what my work day would look like, and I do have hours to work.
I like it. And so, what are you doing in preparation to be away with the family?
And thank you so much for reminding me, because I did do this last year and it really was very effective.
I
Um,
remember.
In my business, I work very closely with my clients. And so I started to drip to them in conversation and letting them know that for these weeks, I was going to be on a family vacation. This year, we're taking a good old fashioned road trip. We're going to go see Mount Rushmore and we're going to South Dakota. And I will be reaching out to my clients and letting them know that for these 2 weeks, I am out of pocket. I have gone ahead and blocked that time on my calendar as well, just to make sure that nothing accidentally sneaks in there. And that time is precious. Like you said, you have 17 summers, and whether that 2 weeks is going to be spent exploring your hometown and taking your kids to the library and going to the zoo, or whether you have like a fantastic whirlwind vacation planned, you really need to protect whatever time you have set aside. You need to keep it sacred.
Well, and I also like when you said I plan nothing for the month of July, of course, other than the vacation, because I made that comment to someone I'm close to. I was like, your kids have something every day after school. When do they get to just be home, right? Like some of my fondest memories of childhood are like just playing outside with my friends. And I feel like in today's world, so much is planned that there's not much room for spontaneity. And I mean, I get it because I have a crazy schedule too. So if I had to plan for kids, it would be fairly planned out as well. So I guess, Diana, how do you balance that? Like having everything planned and controlled versus like spontaneity and life?
It's such a balance. And I laugh because I'm all about like my schedule and the plan. And
Yes.
with kids, it just like kind of goes out the window to a degree, especially when there's school vacation or summertime. But right, over the years, I've learned to embrace some of that spontaneity, especially in the
Mm.
summer. And being from Massachusetts and in New England here, we have the beaches. And I grew up as a kid going to the beach, and it's not always a beach day, and I like to get as many of those days as possible. So I will just like take Jack, or I'll get the family together and we'll be going to the beach and things like that. So I do try to have some wiggle room in my schedule, especially like usually like Fridays. I try to make like a lower key day to make that an option. And yeah, visit a farm, do different things like that, different opportunities to do some other activities that we normally don't get to do other times of the year.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
I also think it's worth mentioning that we should all try to maybe lower our expectations a little bit for what the days are going to look like in order to allow for
Yeah.
enjoyment. So I'm going to try to set up a self-sufficient kitchen for the kids to an extent.
Oh,
They're
I
they're
like
both
it.
very little. They're 6.5 and 4, and they have snacks constantly. But I mean, lunches are going to be simple. Think about like what we ate. We ate sandwiches and chips and fruit,
Yeah.
and all that's going to be available. And I'm going to hopefully teach both kids to pour their own cereal this summer, and that's going to be it. And then they can have a nice balanced dinner that they'll ultimately refuse to eat anyway.
Sounds
Let me
about
know
right.
how let me know how Henry pouring his own cereal goes. I can't wait to hear that.
Yeah.
I just started trusting my son with that. Like he just did it the other day. I was like, "Oh, cool, you can do your own cereal." But he's 7.
Oh my gosh. It's so crazy. I'm laughing that we're having this conversation because I've seen, videos of kids in like Vietnam cooking their own food at age 4. Like they're perfectly capable. You just have to teach them the skills. But like, we live in such a protective society that like maybe it is time for them to learn how to do these things so that they can take care of themselves better and be self-sufficient adults one day. I love it. So I have a question since I don't have young kids, but I do have a niece and nephews, and Grayson, my youngest nephew, who's now 5, he is obsessed with snacks. It's like every like 2 minutes we're being asked for a snack. And me not being as mom, I'll give in a little bit, but I know my sister wants him healthy. I believe in healthy eating. Like, so I try to control. But I mean, what is it with kids and snacks? I know we snacked, but I don't feel I was snacking every 30 minutes as a kid. Is this something new? Or are they just going through growth spurts? Or what's going on with the snacks?
They're bored. That's what happens with my son. I'm bored. So they want a snack.
Same.
Yeah, it's
Sarah,
it's a
do you think?
huge challenge. It's very
Yeah.
challenging because you provide balanced food meals that are also yummy, and the kids still want to eat snacks. And we struggle with that in our household too. I don't actually have any good advice here. My kids eat snacks constantly.
Same.
Yeah. No, go for it,
I
Diane.
try
Were
to
you
get
gonna
him to
say?
go outside. Yeah, yeah, same. He's just always about the snacks, and
Yeah.
it's interesting because I don't know if it's like they go to the moms for the snack though, because my son goes between my home and his dad's house. And at his dad's house, he has like different requests there. But with me, he's always coming to me for the snacks. So I don't know if it's like just they go to the moms because they know that we're the ones like making the food most of the time or something. But I try to make him
That
eat a piece of fruit to start. That's always my rule. I'm like, have a piece of fruit first and then we'll talk.
Oh my gosh. No, that is interesting. They do go to the moms. Like I've seen that. Or even like if I'm at my parents, they'll go to me or my mom. They don't go to my dad and ask for snacks, right? Like they don't go to Papa. They go to Mima. Like it's really
Interesting.
and then Mima tells Papa to get it for them. So it's like a whole chain. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I just realized that. So funny. So, what else do you do to prepare, or what tips do you have? Some women are probably listening, and this is like the first time they're dealing with like owning their own business, having kids coming home from school, having them more time. Like, are there any like tips or warnings you can give?
I mean, I love what Sarah had to say about the having different childcare options available. That's been
Mm,
super helpful for me, even in this past year, because I was finding myself getting stressed out into the afternoon where I'm trying to wrap things up, but then I needed to be available for Jack, and just being able to ask my mom for a couple more hours of help, which she was more than happy to do. I just had to ask.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I want to bring up like an economical childcare option
Hmm.
that people might be able to access. One of my options is the childcare at the gym. And so in an ideal world, I take the kids to the childcare at the gym and then I exercise. But in an emergency, I can put them in the childcare at the gym and I can find a space at the gym someplace where I can often take a Zoom call and I can definitely work. And so don't forget that as one of your backup childcare options. I also think that it's important to look at the schedule for the summer because it is going to be different than your day-to-day academic schedule, and get with your support team, whoever that is, whether that is your husband, your mother-in-law, whoever is going to be helping, and kind of designate who's taking the kids where. In our household, we have one child that's going to be maintaining the same schedule and going to the same place the whole summer, and we've designated one parent to solely be on that child. And I am the parent that's going to be on the more dynamic schedule because I put our older child in all kinds of amazing and fun camps, including a junior paleontology camp, an art camp, a space camp, a build camp, all kinds of camps. And I am the responsible parent for getting her all over this town to and from.
I like it. So you have to, yeah, I like the divided roles because you have clarity, right? It's not chaos in your week. You know, okay, you're handling this, I'm handling this. So I'm curious if you're open to talk about it because I have a friend who actually got in a huge argument with her husband over what the kids were doing for the summer, which is part of what spurred this curiosity for me. You know, because he didn't want them to do what they did last summer, partly for economical reasons, but partly just because he didn't think it made sense. And then she's like, okay, but they have to do something. So what's your alternative? And of course, he didn't want to offer alternatives. It was left up to her to offer alternatives, even though he was ixnaying the plan from last summer. So do you find, like, does most of this fall on you when it comes to planning? And I know every household's different. Like, I'm not trying to make generalizations, but just trying to have a conversation about this because there are probably other women out there struggling to have this conversation at times, right? Like, do you just take the reins of the conversation? Is it pretty balanced, or how does that work in your household?
Well, in my household, it's been determined that I am the the default caregiver, and that's
Yeah.
something that we've agreed to, and it's very clear.
Yep.
And I made all the summer plans and shared them excitedly with my husband, who liked them. But I think it's worth exploring a situation where one parent disagrees. And I think that's probably, as you said, extremely challenging if both parents are trying to pursue career interests and businesses. Like you said, ultimately the kids have to go somewhere, and it probably is going to fall on whoever is designated as the default caregiver to come up with those options. I was able to find different options of varying price in Facebook groups geared towards parents,
Oh,
online
that's a good idea.
magazines, bloggers, using Google. I would have to understand more of what the person's objections were to help more, but I do believe that it's probably going to fall on whoever the default caregiver is to figure out all the options.
Yeah, and I hear you put a lot of time in. I mean, you mentioned multiple sources. So, one, I know you take for granted because I know you're a heavy fact finder and a good researcher. But maybe someone listening was like, oh, I didn't think about Facebook groups for looking, right? Or I didn't think about bloggers or magazines. So, I think even just sharing these things sometimes spur inspiration. But I mean, it
Mhm.
sounds to me, Sarah, like you put quite a bit of time into like architecting the summer. Would that be fair to say? Like, how much time do you think you put into that?
Gosh, well, I'm interested in hearing Dr. Diana's point of view up in Massachusetts, but in Houston, and again, this is back in late January, it is not unheard of to spend several hours mapping out when the last day of school is, when the first day of the new school system is, and when the holidays are, and what camps you can sign your kid up for. And when the kids get slightly older, so we're talking
Hmm.
about smaller kids, but when
Yeah.
kids are middle school and high school age, first of all, they can stay home by themselves, but then
Hmm.
also they may attend a longer overnight camp where they can be for an extended period of time. When the kids are little, those options don't exist, and the summer camp options that do exist throw even more of a wrench into it because they're all at different times. Sometimes summer camps are
Hmm.
offered in the morning, sometimes they're offered in the afternoon. There are full day camps, there are extended stay camps for parents that need even more time. So embarrassingly, I spent way too much time architecting the summer.
Well, I don't think it's something about, I mean, I can tell you how much time I spend architecting my own calendar, right? And people are like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, yeah, but if I didn't do this, it would be chaos or I would be stressed at some other time. So I don't think it's something to be embarrassed or apologize about. I mean, it's just a curiosity because, there might be someone listening like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it took me this much time. Hey, it actually takes that much time and it's worth it because you're not going to have a stress-free summer, probably, but a much better situation than planned. And Diana, I know you have a multifaceted household where you have a stepdaughter and then Jack's father, you're separate from. So how much time do you put into like coordinating with his father? I mean, that's, that throws a wrench in the schedule even because, you're not even in control of all the time, or is it just like I worry about the time I'm in control of and I have to release the rest, which I know is not easy for mothers. So I'm just kind of curious if you have any tips when it comes to, juggling that.
Yeah, no, it's such a good point, and it's definitely a little bit complex, and it
Yeah.
involves a lot of communication. And honestly, this year there's still like ongoing communication. Last year, I think I took more of the lead in scheduling his camps for the
Hmm.
summer. We had a very specific camp in town that we wanted him to do throughout the entirety of the summer. So in
Oh,
order to do
nice.
this camp, you had to be available at like 9 a.m., like very specific time. And honestly, within the hour, we were already waitlisted for a couple of weeks. And I was like, how do parents do this that can't just like block their schedule to sign their kid
Yeah.
up for a camp? And anyways, we had like a well organized system last year. Basically, I took the reins and set him up. I knew what weeks his dad and him, would be away on a vacation, and I knew the week that we were going to be away. So we had that all figured out, in the winter. And so last year worked out nicely, other than, of course, the fact that my son wasn't crazy about the camp. So
Oh,
this year we're doing
after
things a
all
little bit
that fight,
differently.
right?
So that it turned into a summer of me like begging him to get in the car to bring him to camp.
No.
And that was stressful. So this year we learned there was one week actually that he went to a different camp and he was like, Mommy, I really liked that other camp. And so I spoke with that camp director, and that one doesn't seem to fill up as much. They were like, honestly, you could sign up week by week. So we still have yet to, we need to get on it, but we have to actually book that camp. This year, we're spending 3 weeks in Greece. So that takes care of a
Yeah.
few weeks right there. And then he'll be away with his dad for a week. So there's like a month where we don't need to worry about camps. And then this
Mhm.
year, his dad's been really great about looking into activities that he knows Jack is into, not even in town, but ones where he's available to get him to and from, depending on the week. So we're still like we've been communicating now. We just have to like book these things. Fortunately, I've been getting a lot of emails about this camp now is open, that one's now open. So there's different new things popping up every week. So where it's scary for me because I'm not necessarily a spontaneous person, but this summer I'm a little bit more spontaneous just with our big trip and everything. So
Yeah.
So
hoping it
so
all
we're
works.
we're stretching your personal capacity for spontaneity, right? This summer. I love it. I
My
can see you
goodness.
getting nervous already. So I want to ask, first of all, like if you can honestly say, is it stressful when the kids are like around more or the schedule changes, or do you feel like you have a handle on it? I mean, because a lot of times just anyone a change in routine like upsets, their stress levels. Like, does it create stress? Do you have different emotions? Do you even maybe have guilt that you're not with them more? Like what's the reality of the kids coming home for summer?
Well, I have guilt about not being with them, but I keep reminding myself that we have the entire month of July and that I can have
Mm.
quality time with them outside my work hours as well. There's lots of time in the day. And so if you
Love
need to
it.
segment out a certain amount of hours to do your job, then just make sure that you're really present the rest of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as honoring routine, I tend to be, and maybe this is this is just my suggestion. I tend to let the kids have more emotional space and also more space in the home. And I move around to accommodate them so I can still get my work done, whatever that means. Moving my workspace,
Mm-hmm.
being in a different room to take calls, because it can be annoying. But luckily, I now feel we're in a society that's more accepting, especially during times when kids are out. And the world's not going to end if your kid walks through a Zoom call.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. So, Diana, how about for you? What's your reality?
For Yeah, so the reality with the summer for me and having him home, so it always starts, I'm like thinking back to last year and the year before. I always look forward to actually not having him on such a strict schedule with his school and
Yeah.
his extracurricular activities. And it's almost like a little bit of relief. And I go through a period of really enjoying it. And then towards the end of the summer, I'm craving for him to go back to school again. So, but yeah, similar where he's got pretty much full reign of the house. And sometimes he'll come down. If I'm not treating a patient, he'll come to the treatment room if I'm just like doing work on my computer or sometimes on a Zoom call. And he plays with the physical therapy equipment and, so he knows how
Like
to
it.
entertain himself there. And he's got the yard to run around and he's old enough to kind of be outside with the dog. And it works. And then, once his structured camps start up and everything, then that is helpful too. But I worked over the past couple of years of really tailoring my schedule with my patients and with my
Mm-hmm.
coaching and everything to be able to have the time with him during the hours that he's actually around. Like, I don't want to be having to do much work with him around. And I like to try and just focus at one thing at a time. And it's worked out nicely. So
That's so beautiful. So, what are you most looking forward to this summer? What are you excited about for the summer?
I am looking forward to getting away for a few weeks.
Yeah,
My
can I
husband's
come with
family,
you to Greece? I'll help.
I live, the more the merrier, the more the merrier. We're at the beach every day. I mean, it's amazing. And I love the beach so much, and the beaches in Greece, on the island that my husband's family is from. It's such a blessing. I'm like, I never would have envisioned this is a place I get to go every couple of years. So we're looking forward to that.
Beautiful. And Sarah, what are you most looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to more flexibility with the kids' schedule. And even though there are some camps, it will be a lot less structured than the academic year.
I like it. I like it. And um when are they headed back to school, each of you? When does school start back up?
Third week of August.
Hmm.
It usually starts, I think, like the first week of September.
Yeah,
Sometimes
you're
it's
later.
before or after Labor Day.
Yeah, that's a long summer. So, what do you find your kids love about summertime?
Being in his shorts, being able to hang around the house. I think he likes the more relaxed schedule and not having to necessarily be, at school and then an extracurricular.
Hmm.
Like
My
it.
smallest child is still to the point where he probably can't tell the difference, and that's okay.
Yeah.
The oldest at 6.5 is just getting where she is celebrating the end of the school year and looking forward to the summer. And I think she's also just looking forward to a more relaxed pace.
I like it. Do they miss their friends during the summertime? I know they still get to see them, but do they miss structure or miss going to school and seeing their friends?
I think my son did. He's pretty social. He does have a summer birthday where we did invite his class
Oh,
for the
nice.
bouncy house with the water slide last year, and I'll do another party this year too with that. But he definitely looked forward to going back to school this year to see everyone.
I love it. Sarah, what do you think?
I think maybe a little, but
Ellie's so
they're still so
social.
small. Yeah. Yeah, and they have different seasons for friends, right? So they're going to
Yeah.
be in environments at summer camps where they're going to be making new relationships, or if I take
Hmm.
them to the gym where they go to kid care, they recognize people there. Um, and there's also neighborhood friends that they'll encounter. So they'll still have a lot of interactions with kids their age. It'll just be different than the people they saw every day.
Yeah, I love it. So let's wrap up with like some expert tips from your areas of expertise. So, Diana, what would you recommend? What's an easy way, or maybe a couple of tips for busy moms juggling everything, especially during the summer? How can they still stay fit or focus on their fitness and their health during the summertime with the mixed schedule and the kids around?
Yes, I find a lot of moms run into issues when the kids are around, whether it's a school vacation during the school year or the summer
Mm-hmm.
vacation. And food can sometimes be tricky because it's like a lot
Mm-hmm.
of the kids' snacks and they forget about, their own food, and either they're not eating enough or they're picking a lot at the kids' food. And I would just say, having a plan for yourself about getting some nutrient dense foods and getting that protein in throughout the week too for
Mm-hmm.
yourself, and not just nibbling on Fruit Loops or whatever. Being able to still prioritize the foods you're going to want to have around and available, even though there's probably more snacks around. And also being able to find those moments of time for yourself to get some exercise in, or even just to relax, because it's so easy, to just ignore that when there's kids around, and when there's just kind of ongoing need to entertain and all of that. When you can make it a point, like, okay, I see like the mornings are a little bit more quiet, or in the midday, I can take like 20
Mm-hmm.
minutes to do something, find those times and definitely take it.
I love it. And Sarah, give us some tips for moms out there doing event planning. What are some easy tips to have a great event? Besides reading your
Well,
book, which we'll drop that link as
oh,
well.
well, you can definitely read my book. And I do have some free resources like worksheets and planning tools available on my website. But other than
Cool.
that, just some big major tips are um, set realistic goals and expectations, but have
Mhm.
clear understanding of what those are, whatever that means.
Mm.
Then define a budget that supports those goals and expectations. And from there, choose your vendors and then set up your timeline. So those are my big high level tips for how to have a great event. Another great thing that you can do is you can round up your mom friends to help you out and always have
Mm.
them over for light bites and snacks and coffee or wine.
Oh, that's fun. Combining social time with event planning. I love it. So nice. Awesome. So, Diana, share with us how, if anyone's listening and they want to know more about you, what's the best place for them to find you? And what do you have going on right now? What are you offering to clients? I know we're headed into the summer and you have your 3 week vacation, but I know you're busy working. So, how can our listeners find you, and what are you open for right now?
Yes, so you can find me through my website, reclaimyourstrengthphysicaltherapy.com, or my Instagram at the Diana Singleton. I'm currently offering patient appointments. So anyone within the state of Massachusetts that is in need of pelvic floor physical therapy, I'm located in Reading, Massachusetts, and I do in-person appointments and telehealth appointments. And I am currently accepting new patients. For those who are outside of Massachusetts, I do wellness appointments as well for pelvic floor.
Love it.
So you can reach out to me, through the website or through Instagram. I do have a Facebook page as well.
I love it. I love following you on Instagram. Like, I'm not your avatar client because I'm not a mom, but like the tips are great. I'm like, this is good tips for women and wellness. So I love your Instagram. I'm always looking at your stories. Love it.
No,
So
thank you.
you're welcome. Sarah, what are you excited about right now? And how can our listeners find you and work with you?
Well, my website is sarainthecityevents.com, And you can find me on Instagram at Sarah in the City Events. And for those located within the Houston region, I do a lot of giveaways on my Instagram for Astros tickets, and I partner with other female owned businesses for cool prizes. So definitely follow me and connect with me there. And I have some wonderful complimentary tools available on my website. I have a free download called 8 Steps to a Wow Event that's available at no cost. So if you're a busy mom that's planning an event, head on over and download that.
I love it. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to get my copy of your book. I know I'm on the pre-order list.
Thanks. It should be a lot of fun. And I've been coming up with some fun things to go out with the books too. Just some fun little surprises.
Oh, I love that. That's so fun. All right, ladies. So here's my question for you. We're talking about the summertime and moving into the summer. What is your favorite season of the year? When do you is there a season you feel you thrive in over the other ones?
The summer for sure.
Yeah, you're a beach
I
lady,
love the
huh?
sunshine. I'm the beach lady.
Love it. Well, good. We're entering into your season. How about you, Sarah?
Gosh, I really like the season of spring, which tends to be my
Mm,
busiest time as an event planner, but
yeah.
I get in the groove and I just can achieve so much within my household and for my business and for my clients. And it's a busy time, but generally down here in the South, the weather's really nice and I really love that time.
Oh, I love it. So it's interesting because fall was always my favorite season. Like I think, growing up in South Mississippi and then living in Houston, it just like you were welcomed the refreshment. Like I felt reborn in the fall. But now in Nashville, I really enjoyed the spring. Spring is absolutely gorgeous here. Just seeing everything turn green and everything blooming. And I love it. So I personally have vowed to enjoy the summer because last summer I just sold a business. I was still dealing with that. I was starting a business. I'd moved to a new city. I was starting spiritual healing. And I was like, oh my gosh, the whole summer disappeared. I feel like that happened the last few years. So like I have a vow like, okay, what am I doing to enjoy, like really experience summer this year? So I will keep y'all informed. But how about y'all? What are you looking forward to for the summertime? What's your vow for the summertime?
Last year, I had a really busy summer as well because I was starting my group coaching program, Fit as a
Yeah.
Mother, and I was doing all the recording and everything. And this year, it's just nice to reflect on, okay, that program is here, and I'm not necessarily creating it anymore. It already exists, and it's allowing me the time and the space to do some other things and not have as tight of a schedule.
I love it. Sarah?
Well, I have some exciting things happening. I'm looking forward to relaxing, but I'm also
Mhm.
a finalist in this national social
Oh,
media
yes.
contest called
So fun.
Supermom. And if you want to help me out, you can go to my LinkedIn, and in my bio, there's a link where you can vote for me. You can vote daily for free. And the contest actually ends in a couple weeks. And I have been one of the front runners, and hopefully I'll continue to be so. So that's exciting and something I am looking forward to, as well as just hanging out. I moved in December to a new house. And so this will be our first summer as a family in the new house. So we're just looking forward to seeing what that'll be like.
Oh, that's super fun. Yeah, this is the first year I don't have a swimming pool. And one day I was like, ooh, I really would like to go to a pool. So I've got to find a pool here in Nashville that I have access to. But I was like, I guess I'm going to have to go to Houston a lot this summer because everybody I know in Houston has a pool. So I will be visiting you a lot, Sarah, and my sister and parents. So
Awesome.
anyway, yeah,
Come on
so good.
down.
Yeah, I'm there the week of June. I'm speaking at an event June 20th, so I'll be there that week. And I'm sure some other time. So anyway, thank you,
Maybe we'll be
ladies.
celebrating my win as Supermom.
Oh my gosh, that would be awesome. We should throw a big event for you. Let's do it.
Don't forget to vote, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you for letting us know it's a couple of more weeks. I had no idea how much longer. So when this airs, there'll still be time to vote. So go vote. Awesome. I love it. Thank you, ladies. I know this was short, turnaround. And I really appreciate you coming on here and being real about the joys and the struggles of having your children home for the summer. I love how intentional you both are about how you show up. And I hope that we let other moms know that they're not alone with the struggle or the joy, and perhaps inspired them to do something a little bit differently. So, as I always say, the world needs more love. This summer, focus on loving your kids, but don't forget to love yourself. I love when Dr. Diana recommended find some time for yourself, right? So, thank you, everyone. Have a phenomenal week. Look forward to your amazing summer, and we will talk to you soon.